You supported your husband to be on the rich list, but he treated you as a stumbling block. Not only did the mistress bring people to surround the meeting room, but even the cleaning staff dared to kick over your bag. At this moment, you smiled and pressed the remote control, and the entire building suddenly sounded the asset freezing alarm. I walked into the company's project seminar meeting room 3 minutes early. My husband's female colleague, the one who always fiddles with her hair, glared at me in dissatisfaction. He also said that I was late again and didn't buy the coffee I asked him to buy, and he also cursed at me. I looked at my watch, ignored her, and walked straight to my seat. Unexpectedly, she kicked my chair away and sneered at me. I can't even handle this, so I should go home and let my husband take care of me. She also said that if it wasn't for her husband's sake, she would have fired me long ago. After saying this, everyone around me looked at me with disdain. I didn't hesitate and called my husband Leonard directly through the phone on the table and told him to ask his female colleague to ask Leonard if he dared to fire me. The phone rang twice, and Leonard hung up. The people around him suddenly laughed and made all kinds of mocking remarks. I ignored them and continued to play, but Leonard kept refusing to answer. At this time, Annie mocked me and told me to go buy coffee for the meeting. I didn't move and continued to redial with a blank expression. Finally, the call was connected, and the room suddenly became quiet, with everyone waiting for Leonard's response. Leonard groaned impatiently and said he had been drinking with clients until midnight yesterday and had a terrible headache. He also asked me why I kept calling him. I asked him directly if he knew that his assistant wanted to fire me. There was a pause on the other end of the phone, and then Leonard said coldly that he didn't know, but it was not wrong to shoot me. She also said that I didn't want to be a housewife, so he assigned me to the best department, but my performance was always at the bottom, and I was paid for nothing, which made many people dissatisfied. He also said that after the company goes public, there will be no useless people left. He told me to go home and make soup for him if I can't do a good job. Don't make a fool of yourself here. Then he hung up the phone. The atmosphere in the meeting room became lively, and everyone was waiting to see me make a fool of myself, and came over proudly and said that she had told Leonard that she was not capable of staying in the company and that the company only kept top talents. I was also asked to go home and do laundry and cook soup and be a full-time wife. She also mocked that if she couldn't work, she couldn't keep her husband, and that would be a joke. The people around followed suit. I raised my eyebrows slightly and pretended to be confused and asked, does that mean the company doesn't need me and Leonard doesn't need me either? Annie laughed and said that I was late and left early at the company. I didn't respect my leaders. I put on makeup all day and didn't work, and I couldn't complete my tasks. She also said that I didn't take care of my husband at home, didn't have children, and didn't care when my husband got sick from drinking at social events. What's the point of asking me? I sneered and said that my value was to ensure that she and Leonard had food to eat. If I left, the Stanford Group would collapse. When I said this, everyone around me burst into laughter. They didn't understand what I meant to Leonard and the Stanford family. Many years ago, Grandpa Leonard came to my dad with a bloody photo. He said that he and my grandfather had fought side by side, and that he had saved my grandfather's life. On this ground, I begged Leonard to marry me. At that time, I was still studying abroad. I didn't believe in love and thought that marriage was a matter of time, so I agreed. And Leonard was fair and clean at that time, which was very appealing to me. Fortunately, my father is an old hand and asked Leonard's grandfather to sign an agreement before the marriage. If Leonard betrays me, the Stanfords will have to give back everything they got from me. With my support, the Stanford family rose in 2 years and completed the 10-year development plan in 1 year. But now it seems that I let them develop too fast. Leonard feels that he is ready. Okay, then I don't mind settling accounts with the Stanford family. Annie was still laughing and said it was the funniest joke she had ever heard. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense. Just take the bag and leave. But just as they were about to leave, 2 employees got up and locked the meeting room door. I asked them coldly what they meant, and walked over in her high heels, crossed her arms, and looked me up and down. I was told not to think that the company was my home, that I could come and go as I pleased, and that I had to follow the procedures to be fired. I said I don't need to go through the process. Annie scratched my bag with her fingernails and said she would search my bag to see if I had taken anything from the company. She said all company projects were confidential, and if I lost anything, it would be the end of me. After saying that, he motioned for 2 employees to come forward. I was angry, thinking that I had been too patient. My grandfather and father always taught me to be kind and not to cause conflict. I grew up abroad and I don't want to bully others, but I didn't expect someone like Annie to take advantage of me. I asked Annie if she had considered the consequences. Annie ignored me, snatched my bag and dumped the contents on the floor. She also said that she was a reliable assistant and that she followed company policy and Leonard's orders, so what consequences could there be? They also said that after searching the bag, they still need to search the body. After saying that, the 2 employees guarding the door walked towards me. I slapped their hands away and said coldly, don't go too far. They have no right to search me, and laughed at me and said I was trying to scare someone. She also said Leonard had been tired of me for a long time and that a man like Leonard deserved a better and more perfect woman. She said that in Leonard's eyes, I was not even as good as the company cleaner. I knew immediately that Leonard had someone else, and it wasn't Anne. Although Annie is capable, she has no background. Given Leonard's current status, if he wants to replace someone, he must find someone who can bring him huge benefits. It's a pity that he is too naive. No one in this company can surpass me. Seeing me keep my head down and not say anything, Annie thought she had hit a sore spot and continued to mock me. Divorced housewife with no husband to support me. My life would be miserable in the future. Her smug look makes me curious about who this so-called successful woman is. Annie is so arrogant. There must be someone instructing her to do so. Does this person think that I will give up my position obediently? Don't you think about whether the Stanford family agrees? I told Annie expressionlessly that Leonard hadn't divorced me yet, so she shouldn't be too happy or she might get embarrassed. Annie asked me to cooperate with the body search and leave the company immediately, otherwise I would be even more embarrassed when Leonard comes. Still shouting to search me, I shouted angrily, who dares? At this time, a familiar voice came from the door. It was Leonard. He came in and Annie made way for him. Leonard stood in front of me and said coldly, Nicole, tell me the terms. I can get whatever you want for the divorce. I asked him if his grandfather knew he wanted a divorce. Leonard sneered and said, don't always use his grandfather to pressure him. He has been filial to me over the years. He married me and raised me for so long. That's enough. enough. He also said he could give me enough money to last a lifetime so that I could agree to a divorce. I smiled faintly and said that money was not a problem. He thought he could climb higher by changing people, but how could he be sure that the new person was his golden ticket? Leonard thought I was jealous and thought I still cared about the marriage and his betrayal, so I felt better. He also said that we should stop fighting. Even if I couldn't leave him, he would still divorce me. He said that the new person would make him stronger and the Stanford family could reach a new level. Let me sign it quickly while he still has patience. I straightened my skirt and said slowly, Leonard, if he gets divorced, he will lose everything, including those present here. We will all be unemployed. Leonard and Annie laughed and thought I was joking. People around me also whispered that I must be crazy and talking nonsense. She also said that women should be independent. She broke down when I mentioned divorce. She also blamed them for losing their jobs, saying that Leonard paid their salaries, not me. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. I'm too tolerant. The mutual respect and kindness that my father talked about depends on who you are dealing with. Leonard's people are just like him. What kind of listed company? I think it's too early to go public. I reached for my phone to make a call. Annie slapped my phone away and said she hadn't finished searching yet. Did she take my phone to leak company secrets? My patience is completely gone. I have never been humiliated like this since I was a child. At first I tolerated it, thinking they were ignorant, but now they are deliberately provoking me. This cannot be solved by an apology. I warned Annie that if she listened to Leonard or the woman behind him, I wouldn't blame her, but let her think carefully. Are you really ready to bear the consequences? I glanced around the room, and this warning applied to all of them. Leonard sneered again and said, at this time, I am still threatening his people. Annie was disdainful and shouted, search me. My face instantly turned cold. I couldn't stand it any longer. I had to teach them a lesson. Just as I was about to take action, a woman's voice came. Leonard, why are you making such a scene in front of everyone? This is not something you should do. A woman in a tight red dress walked into the meeting room gracefully. She was a few years older than me. She walked over to Leonard, crossed her arms, raised her chin slightly and said to me, Nicole, I heard you think I can't be a stepping stone for Leonard's success.